Hello everyone, the legends do not go away. They can be said to be Hollywood veterans. This time we reached Dolph Lundgren, and if in the last issue I analyzed the training and records of Bolo. Look, if you did not see it, very interesting there, who was already over 75 years old. Then Dolph Lundgren is 66 years old and he is still in the form. You should also remember him by his roles in good old action movies, or you only know him by the image of modern blockbusters. Then this issue is for you. Everyone who has already remembered watching these films, put your nostalgic like and enjoy watching. Once again, there will be no simple retelling of the biography. But let's go through the interesting and little known about our hero. It's hard to imagine that Dolph Lundgren is a brutal big guy originally from Sweden with a height of 197 centimeters in childhood. He often grabbed from bullies. As a child he was shorter than his peers, grew up quite skinny, so he often got into fights, and as often happens, he decided to train with iron and learn martial arts techniques just to stand up for himself. Everything is as we like it at the age of 16. He starts working with iron, and then nature has already made itself felt. The skinny guy has grown to almost 2 meters. He has been practicing Kyokushin karate for a long time. He has a black belt. By the way, Dolph became a 2-time winner of the British Championship in 1981 and 1982. Moreover, he was in good shape, paid attention to working out his legs, trained them with squats and simulators and traction. In interviews he said that he never chased records in the gym. But nevertheless, the bench press is about 300 pounds or about 140 kilograms. The same figures can be found about his squat. And as for deadlift, they're up to 300 pounds. Dolph also makes another important decision, not only for the sake of appearance, but also to feel more confident in life. He receives an education and serves in the Swedish Marine Corps. Fate does not give everyone one of the main roles in life already at the very start of their career, and of course, each of us probably knows him in the image of Ivan Drago. However, a great chance. This is a big responsibility. Further, I quote Dolph himself as he became Ivan Drago, the main antagonist in Rocky IV when I first became part of the Rocky project. I was a newcomer to the film industry and business. I had no idea what kind of return I could get in the end. At that time, I considered this film except as a way to pay the bills I participated in general, the auditions in New York. The producers then examined 8,000 candidates. There was a very big competition, and I was rejected because I was kind of too tall for the role of Drago. But I decided not to give up and sent my pictures personally to Stallone. After that, he called me back and I went to the audition again, and as a result they took me and I got the coveted role in Rocky IV. But Sly immediately warned me that I would need to gain muscle mass, especially the upper body and arms. At that time it was about 10 kilograms or so. That conversation took place in the summer and I immediately started preparing. I started training with iron. I worked according to the standard program of bodybuilders, 6 days a week. Worked out various groups every day, and closer to Christmas we had planned to shoot trial shots. It was important for the producers to understand how we would eventually look on the screens. Well, in general, this the standard procedure. By that time I had already gained about 5 kilograms of muscle. In the remaining time before filming, I managed to add a few more kilos. But there was more about working on the relief of muscles, because Drago had to be not only massive, but also worked out to look decent against the background of Stallone, which of course, as usual, would have prepared in excellent shape. But of course, all this time for 2 hours a day I practiced boxing technique. As for nutrition before preparing for Rocky, I never paid much attention to my diet, except that I could cut down on carbohydrates for several days in a row so that I could properly load up after. At the beginning of communication with Sly, I learned a lot of new things because he was well versed in building a diet. I began to use his diet with a high protein content. But on the contrary, I cut down on carbohydrates and ate 5 to 6 times a day. I followed his example in many ways, and, in principle, I learned a lot about bodybuilding in those years. But what about your rivalry, and about the fight in the frame? You know, Initially, everything was written in the script, all our combinations, the sequence of strikes, reactions, other things. It was almost 50-odd pages of text that had to be remembered after working out, not to be confused already during filming, and this despite the fact that we agreed to work closely for real. You see what's the matter? A blow to the head can still be simulated if you pull it from the right angle. And here is a blow to the body, or it will look obviously fake if we depict it, or it should be real so that everything looks natural, but then you will have a hard time as a result. It was just Stallone who had to be urgently taken to the hospital after one of the takes. We were just finishing filming in Vancouver. Part of the film about Russia was being shot there. And then the producer called me and said, "Dolph, you have 2 weeks to rest." Sly himself remembered about the hospital. He sent me to the hospital for 4.5 days. He hit me so hard in the chest that the next thing I remember, I was taken to the intensive care unit, and as many as 4 nurses were swarming around me. Well, it was worth it. The clash between Stallone and Lundgren was all the more spectacular given their significant difference in height, which Sly not only did not hesitate and did not avoid, but on the contrary, he relied on it and used it to defeat the huge Russian for greater effect. It was symbolic just in the spirit of overcoming motivation. The whole saga of the confrontation between Rocky and Drago became canonical and received the sequel is in the second part. But our hero is famous not only for Rocky, he had many other images by which you know him well, in the movie Masters of the Universe. Dolph was just huge and at the same time did not hide that he used drugs to gain weight. Notable roles: Red Scorpion, A Showdown in Little Tokyo. The same universal soldier, of course, in each of these films that we watched all the time. Dolph demonstrated a combination of both good form and martial arts, but there were also his own features. First of all, unlike the same lady, Dolph did not keep his shape stable. And I slowed down in volume in between filming and recruited again for new roles all my life. I felt only the advantages of training when you have developed muscles. Joints suffer less and you have a better reaction. When you are prepared, you always know that you can do more, and when already on the set you need to give your best beyond the script, you are ready to raise your bar and just carry out your plan. Secondly, in terms of fighting, and this is the Showdown of Little Tokyo and the Battle of Dragons and Ahead, he certainly looked decent and was rumored to be impressive. But at the same time, he was known for poor from the point of view of filmmaking, impact control, due to which his opponent's stuntmen flew hard every now and then. However, these are working moments and no one on Dolph he did not hold a grudge. By the way, I will quote what martial arts he prefers. For me personally, the minus of mixed martial arts and long-term confrontations are incomprehensible. Of course, there are also many subtleties there, but the technicality of boxing is closer to me. In this regard, it is similar to karate when you can be a skinny guy who would seem that he can't. But at the same time, knocking out a big guy just for a couple of punches, it always looks great. That's why I appreciate martial arts. I note that Lundgren is one of those stars who were not always on the horse. He also had a sharp decline, dubious roles, addiction to alcohol, and so on. But Dolph pulled himself together and resumed his career, including again with the help of Sly, who initially invited an old acquaintance to the Expendables for a minor role. However, in the end it was not a small one. It allowed us to pay attention to him again. This issue is not a review of his film career. I did not mention many personal facts about him, of which there are many. He has several educations, speaks different languages, plays drums well, and so on. But most importantly, I just wanted to remind you about Lundgren, whose name we will definitely remember. Write in the comments which films with the participation of the hero are your favorite if you like the release. Support the project with a like and subscribe to the channel. New releases are on the way. As always, thank you all for watching and see you soon.